This is the illegal 6-ton military beast you can still buy at auction, the LMTV. Right now, the government is selling off the most indestructible 4x4 sanctuary ever forged, and most people are too scared to bid. They think these machines are illegal for the street or too complex to own. They are wrong. While modern trucks are becoming digital cages that can be remote deleted, the LMTV is a 12,000-pound fortress built with a Caterpillar 3116 engine and a one-wire sole. It was designed to survive a war zone, yet you can find them sitting at government auctions for the price of a used Camry. But there is a hidden technical loophole in the air braking system that the suits do not want you to know about. Why is the toughest machine in the world secretly the best-kept auction secret in America? Is this illegal beast the only 6-ton fortress you can actually own? Every LMTV that rolls into the civilian world starts its second life in the same place, the Defense Logistics Agency's property yard. No drama, no secret backdoor, just a relentless bureaucratic system designed to keep the military's fleet lean and mission-ready. When a truck like the M1078 reaches 20 or 30 years of service, maybe it is a 1994 model with a few thousand hard miles, or a 1998 that has only ever seen convoy duty, it enters the slow march towards surplus. There is no mass exodus, no sudden dump. Instead, the military retires these trucks one at a time, like old warhorses rotated out of the line, each tagged for attrition or routine replacement. The process is pure industrial ritual. First, a unit's motor pool flags an LMTV for disposal, logging its vehicle identification number, VIN hours, and condition. It is stripped of anything sensitive, radios, encrypted GPS and weapon mounts, then handed over to DLA Disposition Services. Here, the truck is nothing more than a line item, excess property, not a classified asset. If it passes demilitarization codes, usually a simple code D meaning no munitions or ITAR regulated parts, it is certified for civilian release. The paperwork is clinical, but the iron is anything but. From there, the LMTV enters the government's auction pipeline. Sometimes it lands at a local DRMO lot, sometimes it is routed straight to GovPlanet, GSA auctions, or GovDeals. No special program, no secret memo, just the slow churn of fleet management. The volume is a trickle, not a flood. You might spot a 1994 M1078 listed in 2026, or a handful of models from 1995 to 1998 popping up in scattered lots. Out of the original production run, roughly 15,000 units, only dozens per year escape the military's grip. Most are snapped up by enthusiasts, logistics firms, or the rare prepper who knows what bridge-grade iron is really worth. Forget the fantasy of a government fire sale. The LMTV is released on its own attrition schedule, not as part of some grand modernization purge. The only thing standing between you and the 6-ton sanctuary is a gauntlet of paperwork, a demo code, and the patience to wait for your number to come up in the auction lottery. The myth of the auction ghost, the idea that these trucks are hidden, illegal, or dumped en masse, does not hold up against the slow, deliberate machinery of government surplus. Each LMTV that makes it to the block is a survivor, not a cast-off. And for those who know how to read the codes, it is the ultimate found weapon, a 225 horsepower Caterpillar heart, a 12,000-pound payload, and CTIS air management, all waiting for a new owner who understands the value of real steel. GovPlanet, GSA auctions, GovDeals. These are not just websites, they are the front lines of American surplus, where the LMTV slips from government inventory into civilian hands. The listings are Spartan, year, VIN, mileage, maybe a blurry photo of a 6-ton Hulk squatting in a dusty lot. Description fields read like coded warnings, needs batteries, as is, where is, no title, SF-97 provided. Most buyers scroll past, spooked by the language or the size, but for those who know how to read between the disclaimers, this is where the hunt begins. Prices land somewhere between laughable and legendary, depending on condition and luck. A running 1998 M1078 with 30,000 miles might hammer for $6,600. A low-mileage 1995 barely broken in might climb to $22,000, still less than the down payment on a new half-ton pickup. The bargain units, the ones that ran great last year but need batteries, sometimes linger at $4,000, waiting for a gambler with a set of jumper cables and a flatbed. There is no reserve, no dealer markup, just the raw price of bridge-grade iron and the cost of hauling it home. Every auction platform has its quirks. GovPlanet dominates for LMTVs, with weekly Department of Defense releases and a reputation for the ironclad assurance, meaning at least that your truck will have a VIN and 4 wheels. GSA Auctions and GovDeals handle the oddball lots, the single 1994 M1078 that spent its life on an airbase, or the M1079 van that somehow avoided the torch. Occasionally, a truck pops up on Bring a Trailer or Classic.com, but by then it has been polished, titled, and marked up for civilian comfort. The buyers fall into 2 camps. First, the enthusiasts, mechanics, preppers, collectors, who treat the LMTV as a found weapon, a 6-ton sanctuary against the fragility of modern trucks. Second, the logistics firms and small-town fire departments who know that nothing built after 2000 will survive a decade of hard use. Both groups understand the real risk, not mechanical failure, but paperwork. The illegal myth haunts every listing, fueled by the phrase, "no title." What most miss is the fine print, SF-97 supplied. That is the skeleton key. With it, the LMTV is not a forbidden beast, but a waiting opportunity, one bureaucratic gauntlet away from legal daylight. Auction specialists will tell you, off the record of course, that the biggest hurdle is not the truck, but the patience to navigate the slow churn of paperwork. The listings move fast, the trucks move slow, and the only real ghost is the one who hesitates. In this world, the auction ghost is just the buyer who blinked. Every LMTV is built around a mechanical heart that laughs in the face of planned obsolescence. Buried under the hood, the Caterpillar 3116 is not some plastic-clad, turbo-lagged marketing exercise. It is a 6.6-liter inline-6, turbocharged and after-cooled, designed to run on whatever fuel a war zone coughs up. Rated at 225 horsepower at 2,600 revolutions per minute, this block delivers a torque curve that feels less like a hill and more like a mesa. 636 pound-feet at 1,600 revolutions per minute, with most of that grunt just a throttle tap away. Numbers do not lie. This is an engine that will idle all day at 800 revolutions per minute, then pull a 12,000-pound payload through axle-deep mud without breaking a sweat. The compression ratio sits at 16.7 to 1, and the unit injector system is so mechanically direct you can diagnose a misfire with a stethoscope and a steel rod. No computers to brick, no limp mode to save you from your own curiosity. Just bridge-grade iron and enough oil capacity to make a modern crossover blush. Backing up the cat is the Allison MD 3070PT, a 7-speed automatic transmission that does not care if you are hauling gravel, ammunition, or a small house. Gear reduction is 7.8 to 1 overall, enough to make highway speeds feel like a technicality, not a necessity. Full-time 4x4 splits torque 30% to 70% on pavement and locks to 50% and 50% off-road. The Rockwell axles underneath are rated for abuse that would turn a consumer pickup into a warranty claim. Payload. Officially, 2.5 tons on the data plate, but real-world figures put the LMTV in a different league, a 12,000-pound fortress that shrugs off potholes and washouts. This is not a truck that tiptoes around its own limits. It is a rolling dare. Fill the bed, hitch up a trailer, and see what breaks first, the road or your nerve. The LMTV driveline is not just overbuilt, it is a declaration that durability is still possible, if you know where to look. Nothing on the LMTV is accidental, not the bridge-grade axles, not the 600-pound radiator, and certainly not the central tire inflation system. CTIS is the truck's battlefield superpower, a dash-mounted command post that lets you dial in tire pressure from 20 psi for axle deep. Mud up to 85 psi for highway runs. The spec sheet calls out 395/85R 20 tires, rubber that stands nearly 4 feet tall, each one pressurized or bled by a push of a button. Out in the field, that means you can drop to sand mode, claw through terrain that would beach an SUV, then air back up for asphalt, all without ever leaving the cab. Try that in a luxury crossover, and you will be on the phone with roadside assistance, not rolling out of a kill zone. But the real genius is not just the CTS control head, it's the wiring that keeps it alive. Pop open the dash, and you will not find a snarl of CAN bus spaghetti. Instead, the LMTV is a masterclass in field logic. A single backbone harness, old-school copper, every circuit labeled and mapped for continuity. Mechanics call it the one-wire doctrine. If a headlight goes dark, you do not need a laptop or a proprietary scan tool. You need a $10 multimeter and a willingness to follow a line from the fuse box to the lamp. On the battlefield, that is not just convenience, it is sovereignty. When the enemy is time, the winner is the truck you can fix with tools you actually own. A continuity check on the LMTV harness is almost ceremonial. One probe to ground, one to the pin, and the circuit sings or it does not. No digital handshake, no encrypted firmware. The entire electrical system is built for the kind of maintenance that happens under a tarp, in the rain, with the manual half-soaked and a flashlight clenched in your teeth. It is the opposite of modern automotive fragility. This is designed for survival, not for warranty claims. The CTIS and the no-nonsense wiring are not just features, they are the logic of the 6-ton sanctuary. Every mile, every repair, every field fix is a reminder. This truck was built to be owned, not leased. And for those who live by the doctrine of bridge-grade iron, that is the only intelligence that matters. Open the LMTV's brake schematic and you find a system built for extremes. Unlike the basic hydraulics of a pickup, this dual-circuit air setup divides responsibility. The primary circuit manages the front and the secondary controls the rear, each with its own reservoir and relay valves. The compressor, driven off the Caterpillar engine, keeps the tanks pressurized whether the truck is idling or hauling 12,000 pounds down a steep grade. Every press of the pedal sends air through the foot valve, into the relay, and out to Type 30 chambers up front and Type 24s in the rear. S-cam actuators twist nearly 9-inch wide brake shoes, gunite 31925s or their civilian equivalents, against drums that could serve as ship's bells. Lose one circuit and the other still works. Lose both, and spring brakes clamp down, locking the axles with a force that leaves even seasoned tow operators wary. Army test data confirms the stopping power. From 20 miles per hour, the LMTV halts in 60 to 100 feet unloaded and up to 250 feet fully loaded, meeting FMVSS 121 standards. Keep the pushrod stroke under 2 inches and leaks below 2 pounds per square inch per minute, and the system delivers more stopping force than most commercial box trucks. Annual DOT air brake checks run $100 to $200, a small price for peace of mind. Most parts are standard: Bendix foot valves, Haldex relays, Meritor slack adjusters. A full overhaul, shoes, chambers, valves, costs $500 to $2,000, less than a new pickup's touchscreen. The real challenge isn't the hardware, it is the willingness to get under 16,000 pounds of steel with shop air and a parts catalog. The legal gray zone where air brakes meet DMV suspicion is another story. For those who learn the system and pass a leak-down test, the LMTV's air brakes become a rite of passage, not a barrier. Forget the haunted language in auction listings, no title, SF-97 provided, and the online lore about forbidden iron. The reality is simpler and far more bureaucratic. Standard Form 97, known as SF-97, is the federal government's certificate of release, a single-page document stamped by the Department of Defense, certifying that your LMTV is no longer a war asset but a civilian vehicle, free of liens and claims. It is not a state title, but it is the only way a 6-ton ex-military truck leaves the government's hands and enters yours. DMV officials recognize it as the legal handoff. The form lists the VIN, the sale date, demilitarization code, and the buyer's name. Everything a state needs to start the titling process. The fine print saying "as is no warranty" spooks the uninitiated, but it is standard language for surplus. The real myth is not that the LMTV is illegal, it is that the paperwork is a dead end. In truth, the SF-97 is the skeleton key. With it, the so-called illegal beast is just one DMV appointment away from a license plate. Air brakes on the LMTV aren't just heavy-duty, they're engineered for military reliability, built to stop 16,500 pounds of steel in any condition. Under federal law, anything over 10,000 pounds gross vehicle weight rating with a compressor and dual air tanks falls under Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard 121. That's where confusion starts. Rumors swirl that air brakes are off-limits for civilians or require a Class A commercial driver's license just to own. In truth, the brakes themselves are not forbidden. They are regulated. If your LMTV weighs over 26,001 pounds, you will need a commercial license, an air brake endorsement, and a skills test. Below that, some states allow a standard license, provided you pass inspection and the system meets specification. The real challenge isn't the hardware, it's the maze of state rules. Ask a brake expert and they will list compliance requirements. Pushrod stroke under 2 inches, minimal leaks, and spring brakes that lock if pressure drops. The system was built for Army standards, not Department of Motor Vehicles confusion. Start with the SF-97 in your grip, the skeleton key. The checklist is not a maze, but a gauntlet built for those who respect bridge-grade iron over dealership gloss. Step 1. Verify your vehicle identification number against the auction manifest and confirm the demilitarization code. Code D is your green light. Anything higher means you are chasing phantoms. Next, schedule a certified vehicle identification number inspection. Most states treat the LMTV as an assembled or non-titled vehicle, but the inspector wants to see numbers that match, not stories. If your state demands it, secure a bonded title, usually 1.5 times the truck's value, a formality for anything over $10,000, and a non-issue for the 12,000-pound payload you just scored. Insurance comes next. Commercial carriers love paperwork, and specialty insurers understand the 6-ton sanctuary. Bring proof of brakes, air system leak down under 2 pounds per square inch per minute, pushrod stroke under 2 inches, spring brakes that lock tight on air loss. Both auction and brake experts agree, if your paperwork is clean, your iron is legal. The SF-97 unlocks the DMV. The rest is just patience, persistence, and the willingness to read every line twice. Insurance card in hand, plates bolted to the tailgate, and a state inspection sticker hanging in the window. This is where the fantasy becomes real. The new owner stands next to a 6-ton sanctuary that started as a line item on GovPlanet, survived the gauntlet of paperwork, and now idles quietly in a suburban driveway. From auction bid to legal plates, the timeline runs about 8 weeks. SF-97 arrives in the mail, VIN inspection at a sleepy DMV, specialty insurance broker on speed dial. The first legal drive is a lesson in overkill, 12,000 pounds of bridge-grade iron rolling past a parade of SUVs, CTIs, hissing as tire pressures adjust for the highway. The myth of the illegal beast dissolves in the rearview mirror, replaced by the grin of someone who traded fear for ownership. Bridge-grade iron is more than a metaphor. It is a manifesto. The LMTV stands as a last holdout of mechanical sovereignty in a world obsessed with disposable, locked-down machines, where modern trucks chase planned obsolescence with plastic panels and encrypted software. This 6-ton sanctuary answers with a 225-horsepower Caterpillar engine, a 12,000-pound payload, and field-serviceable everything. The CTIS does not ask permission from a touchscreen. It listens to the terrain, and it obeys. Here, ownership means control. No remote kill switch, no subscription diagnostics, just the raw authority to repair, rebuild, and repurpose. In an era of fragile conveniences, the LMTV is a declaration: real durability, real autonomy, real iron. That is the sovereignty you can still buy at auction. Right now, the 12,000-pound payload and a 225-horsepower Caterpillar heart of the LMTV sit idle in auction yards, outlasting fleets of disposable toys. The illegal label is just a bureaucratic ghost. With Form SF-97 in hand, the 6-ton sanctuary is yours to command. In a world of locked-down gadgets, real freedom is bridge-grade iron and a CTIS button away. What would you build with a found weapon like this?